Travis Wayne Goodsell. I've got some space here to do a video. As I probably should crank up the air so that you can't hear me very well. Worse than you can't already hear me already well. I've noticed there's tampering through Microsoft. Microsoft Edge, with messing with Microsoft apps and such. So that also adds to my concern for Good Friday, which is what this is going to be about. Good Friday, according to what Christians believe, is when Jesus is assassinated and fails to save the Jews, and Rome kicks everybody's butt and lays desolate eventually to the Jerusalem temple. And there are, what was it, 3 hours of darkness rather than 3 days of darkness. There's a lot of reinterpreting of the Moses Passover, the Exodus. We don't get stars falling from the heaven. We do get the darkness, and we don't get a viral outbreak, but we do have a death. But it's the wrong guy. Jesus isn't supposed to die. In the Moses example, it's the death of the firstborn birthright blessing son of Pharaoh, who dies. Now, yes, he is the Messiah of the Egyptians, who is supposed to take over the throne from Pharaoh. And with his death, the dynasty is now over. And they had a theocracy, which is government and religion ruling as one. And thus, both government and religion are destroyed. They collapse with no successor. You know, sort of like Joseph Smith dies. Nobody properly assigns a successor. The church is dead. It's gone, and thus needs to be restored. Something else Mormons are not being told by their current church, claiming to be successors rightfully over others who also claimed rightful succession. And so this Friday, my concern is that this is 3,333 years, according to the Jewish calendar of when they assigned the Exodus to be, to the day. We are in that exact year apart as we're going through it right now. And of course, Nelson refuses to acknowledge Passover. He refuses to acknowledge the Book of Mormon, acknowledging the learning of the Jews with the Exodus, as Nephi continually reminds Laman and Lemuel about the Exodus and Moses, and as others throughout the Book of Mormon, and even Joseph Smith in the Doctrine and Covenants keeps reminding people. And yet Nelson will not talk about Passover or the Exodus or Moses and the significance right now, as we've had 2 of the 3 days of darkness. We've had stars fall from heaven. We have the viral outbreak. And Joseph Smith has talked about the collapse of the great and abominable church. And he calls it the Mormon Church. Section 101 verse 43 starts a parable that Joseph Smith gives to the Mormons. And, who are the servants of the nobleman? What do they do? Yeah, so it's the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints that will collapse. And so it's repeated. This is why the church service missionaries for the 1981 edition of the Triple Combination missed Babylon in section 1 verse 16 to decode it. O Babylon, we bid thee farewell. We're fleeing the country to the mountains of Ephraim to dwell. Emphasis added, along with some words to help you understand. And it's shocking to me to be born and raised in the Great and Abominable Church of Lucifer, as Nelson constantly refuses to acknowledge the ascension of the Jesus of the Gospels that he claims to be adhering to. I mean, he's not just dismissing Passover and the last days Messiah as understood by the Jews as a mortal man. He's outright dismissing even Jesus, whom he says that Mormons are Christian for. Because in the Book of Mormon, Jesus ascends on the day of his death, which for Christians is Easter Sunday. And it's horrifying, because the one who didn't ascend is Lucifer. How art thou fallen from heaven, O Lucifer, son of the morning? You wanted to ascend to the heights, and instead you fell. Lucifer failed to ascend, and so Nelson, by not acknowledging the Christian God ascending, as he claims the Mormons are supposed to be Christian, as his invitation on Sunday was to Christians. That's his target audience. And he couldn't acknowledge ascension. As a missionary, I had to, because Christians were saying, why aren't you wearing the cross? And so that was our go-to answer. Well, Jesus Christ ascended. We don't focus on his nailing to a cross. We focus on him living and ascended in a glorified state. And as I've come to realize, we're not even supposed to have that as our God, because we're supposed to be after the learning of the Jews and the language of the Egyptians, even the Egyptians upon which all religions are based. Tells us a different story than the Christian variation. So you can see that over the millennia, religion after religion kept breaking off of the Egyptian one and had altered the religion, each of them claiming to be the true church, and all of them were wrong because they're break-offs rather than the original. So yeah, they can't rightfully explain it. You know, the Last Supper, for example. I mean, Mormons even make the false claim Jesus instituted the Last Supper. Jesus instituted the gospel. Jesus instituted the church. No, he didn't. He was supposed to be restoring, and he failed because he's dead. But, yeah. That's a very interesting difference between Passover and Gospel Jesus. Passover Moses and Gospel Jesus. And again, I have to remind new viewers, Joseph Smith understood the Passover Moses. Section 103, verse 16 and 15, it says, redemption of Zion must needs come by power. Therefore, I will raise up a mortal baby unto my people. So he's even saying it's from the Mormons. That's bold. A man who shall lead them like as Moses led the children of Israel. Having camera problems with Biden. That's why I have time. I don't like listening to him. It's just, get back to your desk and overturn everything that Trump touched. Because everything Trump touches dies. He touched America. Guess who's dying? America. God shed his grace on thee. America, America, keep the children free. Prince. Long live Prince. And so, yeah, it goes on. Ye are the children of Israel, and you must be led out of bondage by power and with a stretched out arm. If you can't figure out that bondage is being forced to pay tithing, which the church keeps telling you, oh, it's a charitable contribution, but you're denied going to the temple because you didn't pay up enough. I can't believe that James Huntsman blew that. It was a simple thing to claim. So frustrating. So yeah, I'll do a pre-April 2021 LDS General Conference show alert or bingo alert as to what to expect from conference, because Nelson has a whole bunch set up for it, and it's scary, it's dangerous, and wouldn't surprise me if it didn't happen because of something that might happen on Friday. Because again, remember, they're both prophesying of the latter days, because we've had the same stuff. So what's Good Friday? Well, for the Exodus, Pharaoh's firstborn son dies, the kingdom's destroyed, both the religion and government. How's that going to happen? Because we don't have a replacement with one person. There's a whole list of people to replace in both government and religion. And so, then the Jesus story, it's the mortal Mormon Messiah who's going to die instead. As Pharaoh wins, Moses is murdered. That's what the Jesus gospel story did. Is instead of Moses winning, nope, Moses lost. He was murdered by Pharaoh, and the dynasty lives forever. For another millennium. Seriously? Do people actually fall for this? I guess so. If you believe your religion is the one true religion over all else and deny the original origin source. So, that's why I'm worried about Passover with Good Friday, Day 6. Because that is when death occurs. And that's why the Gospels say death occurred then too.